Hello, good evening to everyone. Well, today is August 15th, right? It's the weekend, it's already weekend. I hope we study a lot today. Well, the last video I have recorded about it was about English grammar, was about, if I'm not mistaken, questions, right? Things involving questions, sentences, auxiliary verbs, and many examples. Today we will continue studying this and study the reported speech as well, okay? Yeah, did you know that I was supposed to be traveling? Yes, I was supposed to be traveling, but COVID-19 spoiled my plans, right? And I postponed my trip until the next year. Anyway, let's get going. Where is my notebook? It's already here. Notebook check. Pen check. Okay. Let's see some expressions, some sentences and examples using auxiliary verbs in the present and in the past. You know that the auxiliary verb to make questions in the present are do and does, and did is the auxiliary verb for the simple past, okay? When I want to ask something, for example, what time does the bus arrive? I want to know, I'm at the bus station and I ask someone else about at what time the bus arrive, okay? It's a question. So pay attention, we have a question expression, what time, does the auxiliary verb in the present, because actually I want to know the time the bus arrives. So it's in the simple present, the question, okay? But when you use expressions such, do you know? For example, do you know what time? I want to make the same question, okay? Using this idea, but the difference is that the beginning of the sentence starts with a question. Do you know? Do you know what time the bus arrives? So, if you pay attention closely to this example, the auxiliary verb was already used here. The question is already employed here. So, when you have two sentences, one of them uses the question expressions, right? We have the question here. So it's not required to use the question here. So the second sentence comes in affirmative mode. Okay, last lesson we have studied almost the same thing. We saw some examples involving word order, right? When you change the word order and when you don't change the word order. So here you change the word order and use the auxiliary verb in the simple present because you just have one sentence, okay, and one main verb. Here, on the other hand, we have two sentences. The first one is making a question and the second one in affirmative mode. So that's the rule. Whenever you have two sentences, one is a question, the second one necessarily won't come in question mode, okay? So it's not a question mode here. It could be in negative mode depending on the question, not this question, right? You can use the second sentence either in affirmative mode or negative mode, but the first one comes as a question, okay? Another example. Thales, what do you mean by that? This is a question you make when you don't understand something, okay? Somebody tells you, explains something to you, and then you think of yourself, I don't get it. I will ask my teacher to explain it to me. So you see, Thales, what do you mean by that? So it's a question. Now we will see an expression, right, in which has the same meaning, but is not in question mode. So please, Thales, explain what you mean. Do we have a question mark here? No. So this is not a question. At least it's not a direct question. It's indirect. Okay? You didn't understand something and you want me to explain to you what I meant. Okay? So I use the affirmative mode, not the question mode, because the question mode requires the question mark. Okay? Here in the first example, do you know what time the bus arrives? It requires the question mode. So I make a question using auxiliary verb in question mode, and the second sentence is free from the question mode. But here we have an affirmative sentence which makes a question in indirect mode, okay? It's indirectly. Why did you buy that TV? Why did you buy that TV? Okay, you got home with a new TV, entirely new TV. And in my opinion, you made an unnecessary buy because your TV is already state of art, is already highly technological, and you bought a TV. And I ask you, why did you buy that TV? Okay? I'm making a question. Is this a direct question? Yes, it has a question mark. So I use the auxiliary verb in the past. Now let's make a sentence using part of this structure, but it won't be a question, okay? I wonder why he bought, for example, that TV. I wonder why he bought that TV. So let's analyze this sentence. First of all, it's not a question, right? We have a period here. It's an indirect question. Yes, is it an indirect question? Kind of, because you think of yourself, why did he buy that TV? So that's what you are thinking. But the sentence is, I wonder why he bought that TV. So as the sentence is not a question, I don't use the auxiliary verb to make a question. So I use the affirmative sentence and the simple past of the verb buy, which is bought. Okay? We can use more expressions such as if and whether. For example, did you understand the lesson or not? Did you understand the lesson or not? I'm making a question here. It has a question mark. It has the auxiliary verb in the simple past and the verb understand. So let's use whether. So it will be indirect speech, okay? We will start seeing the indirect speech. It's a reported question, okay? We say that these are reported questions. The teacher asked me whether I understood the lesson or not. So you see, I take the direct question and I report this question, right? It's indirect because the teacher asked me whether I understood the lesson or not. So reported questions don't have the question mark, right? So as reported questions don't have the question mark, they will come whether in affirmative or negative mode. So here I have an affirmative in the simple past, whether I understood. So I change the verb tense from understand to understood, which is the simple past of the verb understand. You see? So that's it. Next lesson, we will study. Just remember, we are seeing the intermediate advanced series, okay? It's an intermediate advanced series which are entirely in English. It has more than 100 videos, so I highly recommend you to subscribe to my channel and watch the videos, right? And we have a basic video series as well, which are narrated in Portuguese but explaining English grammar. So it's it's aimed at basic users, basic speakers of the English language, right? People who are beginners are studying the language. So we have two playlists. So in the next video of this series, which we will record, we will talk about the reported speech, okay? It will be part 2 of it, okay? So I hope you have a great day and see you later.